Hello, I'm Mayor Rashan, Editor-in-Chief of Los Angeles Magazine, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our first virtual Best New Restaurant celebration. Food and dining has always been an integral part of the life and culture of Los Angeles. And since the first issue of this magazine rolled off the press some 60 years ago, covering the food scene has been an essential part of our DNA. This year is no exception. Since the start of COVID, scores of restaurants have been shuttered, including some of the city's best-known landmarks. But even amidst a once-in-a-lifetime crisis, scores of others have innovated and survived. Tonight, a portion of the proceeds from this event, as well as your generous donations, are going to some of the restaurants participating. We thank you for your support. We'd also like to thank the evening sponsors: Quaker, El Tesoro, the House of Suntory, Simple Feast, and Flying Embers. Now I know you're hungry, so without further ado, I'd like to kick it to our food editor, Hailey Eber, who will host the rest of the evening's festivities. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm so excited to host tonight's programming featuring the 2020 Best New Restaurant winners mentioned in our January issue. It's a unique, eclectic group of restaurants, but what they all have in common is they cook thrilling, delicious, and comforting food for us during what's been such a challenging year. A little bit about tonight's programming. We'll start off with a mixology demonstration from House of Suntory and El Tesoro Bruxo, followed by home dining styling tips from event planner Mindy Weiss. Then both Found Oyster and Ospi will be doing mini cooking demonstrations on how to put together their meals in tonight's tasting kits. Next, we'll connect with Mírame and get a behind-the-scenes look at how they make their seafood pozole verde. And we'll end with a panel discussion with the chef owners from Little Coyote, Egret Dinette, and All Day Baby. So get your tasting kits and be sure to share all the dishes and beverages you're enjoying tonight by tagging @LAMag and hashtag Best New Restaurants on social. With that, let's get started on cocktails and learn how to create some delicious craft drinks at home. First, Jonathan Armstrong will show us Live in Tokyo made with Roku gin featured in the Eastside tasting kit. Then we'll shake up the Oaxaca Old Fashioned made with El Tesoro and Bruxo in the Westside tasting kit.
Hi everybody, and thanks Hailey for the kind introduction. House of Suntory is proud to be a part of Los Angeles Magazine's Best New Restaurant, and I'm super excited to walk you through the Live in Tokyo cocktail, a variation on a classic gin Ricky featuring Roku Japanese gin. Now to make this cocktail at home, you're just going to need a few things normally. You're going to need simple syrup, which is equal parts sugar and water, some very fresh lime juice, a bit of Fino sherry, and Roku Japanese gin. Now what you're going to notice tonight when you taste it is that it's going to have a little bit of kick, a little bit of spice. And I really wanted to share with you how to incorporate that into your cocktails at home. Now we went ahead and made a classic infusion with you, which normally would be about 4 to 5 of these serrano chilies that you then toss into a Cambro or a bowl, and then you taste it about a half hour later. And when it's spicy, you're good to go. But there are a couple different ways that you can make spicy drinks at home. First and easiest would probably go to a liquor store and buy a sort of a spicy tincture or spicy bitters, and that way you can just add a few drops at a time to your cocktail and kind of add the amount of flavor and spice that you want to your taste. The way we're going to do it here is that I'm going to make it fresh using serrano chilies that I'm going to dice up and we're going to muddle in the bottom of the tin here. So I'm going to take about 3 or 4 of these. I'm going to use 4 because I like spice. And we're just going to muddle in the bottom of the tin. Now the best way to think about this is that this is sort of like a mortar and a pestle. So you just want to kind of grind it against the bottom of the mixing tin here. And just really kind of pulverize it a little bit, and then you're good to go. You got your kick settled. After that, you want to start with your least expensive ingredient first, which for us is going to be our simple. And we're going to do about 3/4 of a part, followed by 3/4 of a part of our fresh lime juice. And you really got to make this fresh if you want this cocktail to taste good and pop. After that, we've got 1 part of our Fino sherry. And sherry kind of gets a bad rap, but in cocktails, if you use a dry style like a manzanilla or a Fino, it's really delicious. Really adds sort of like a nice nuttiness to the cocktail and some layers and some depth. So we did 1 part of Fino Sherry. And last but not least, we have our 1 part of Serrano chili infused Roku gin. Or in this case, Serrano chili muddled. Now that's all set to go. We're going to add some ice to our tin. So a little bit more. We're going to mix it up here. Just a few times. Don't want to shake it for too long. Don't want to dilute it too much. Once we've done that, we've got it all chilled. We're going to strain it because we muddled those chilies into a highball glass with ice. Comes out, it's got a beautiful color. Now that is almost done. But last but not least, we want to add a little bit of soda and give it a little bit of that effervescence. It's going to make the first sip really light and refreshing. And for garnish, 1 fresh lime wheel. And there you go. 1 live in Tokyo featuring Roku Japanese gin. Hope you enjoy it.
My name is Luis Navarro and I work for Tesoro Tequila. And we're super excited to be part of tonight's Los Angeles Magazine's Best New Restaurants. Tonight we're going to be celebrating with a Oaxaca Old Fashioned, which is a delicious cocktail that originally called in the recipe for Tesoro Reposado. And it's just a really refreshing, just sippable cocktail that you can really enjoy whenever you decide to enjoy a cocktail. For this recipe, we're going to need some El Tesoro Tequila Reposado. We're going to need some Bruxo Mezcal. We're going to need some bitters, some Angostura bitters. You can also use other types of bitters if you like. Like today, I have some chocolate Aztec bitters, some citrus, and some agave syrup. So super simple recipe that you can make anytime you decide to make a cocktail. So let's get started. We're going to be using the El Tesoro Reposado. We're going to use 1.5 ounces of the Reposado. So if you haven't heard of El Tesoro is a tequila that's all about preserving the traditional art of tequila making. So everything that we do is all about preserving the traditional methods of tequila production and really preserving that flavor of the agave to really get a really nice, well-balanced tequila that tastes so good they will want to enjoy time after time. So 1.5 ounces of the El Tesoro Reposado, and this one has been aged for about 9 to 11 months in ex-bourbon cask, giving it some beautiful oaky, spicy, little notes. So if you like that, it has a nice balance of the Blanco and Reposado or aged tequila. So 1.5 ounces of Reposado into our mixing glass. We're also going to use a Bruxo X, which is a blend of Espadín and Barril agave varietals, and also has a little bit of some smoky notes, so really gives a nice flavor to and roundness to the actual cocktail. So 1/2 ounce of this into our cocktail, or a mixing glass, sorry. After that, we're going to go ahead and use a bar spoon. If you don't have a bar spoon, that is okay. You can use 1/4 ounce, or I'm going to use a bar spoon of the agave syrup. Agave syrup is also made from the same agave plant that we use to make tequila. And it has a really nice flavor, nice sweetness to it. So we put some agave syrup in that. If you don't have a bar spoon, you can use like a little less than 1/4 ounce of agave into your mixing glass to give it some sweetness. We're also going to do about 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, some aromatic bitters to really have like a nice roundness. And I'm also going to add 1 dash of the Mexican chocolate bitters to really kind of give a little bit of an extra flavor to it. And that's pretty much it for your cocktail. All you're going to do now is you're going to add some ice to it. If I had a cube of ice, I would actually do that for now, but I actually don't have a cube, so I'm going to use what I have. You can use any ice that you have in your refrigerator, but the best type of ice to do for this would be a cube. And then I'm just going to mix it so it gets cold, and you can see it condensing on your glass. The point of this is to chill the cocktail, not to super dilute it, because you want to have, it's going to be a little bit of a more spirit-forward cocktail. But that's pretty much what you do. You want to kind of chill it. And then we're going to go ahead and strain that into our rocks glass and pour it directly. It has a nice, beautiful rose color to that. And we're going to add some new ice. Like I said, if you had some cube of ice, I would actually do that, but I don't. I have just some regular ice. And then we're also going to use citrus. We're going to use orange peel. You can actually peel just the top layer of the skin of the orange. I don't have a peeler, I have a knife, so I'm going to use a knife to just kind of skim the top of the layer of the citrus so that we can use this as a garnish, but also give it a little added flavor to our cocktail. And you also need a match or a lighter. I'm using a lighter. I can smell the beautiful citrus flavor. You're going to kind of go ahead and express some of the oils onto the actual glass. You can see a little bit there, kind of flaming a little bit. That was beautiful. And that's just gave it some beautiful notes of orange, and also kind of like rim the glass of the cocktail with the orange. Just give it some more of the essence of the flavor of the citrus. And that just like kind of gives a nice round flavor to the actual cocktail. And that's it. That's a Oaxaca Old Fashioned. Hopefully you enjoy, and let's continue celebrating tonight. Los Angeles Magazine's Best New Restaurants. Salud.
Salud. Before we get started on the food portion, here are a few words from one of our sponsors, Simple Feast.
Thank you, Hailey. Thank you for the intro. I'm super pleased to be here tonight. My name is Rasmus, and I'm the head of culinary development at Simple Feast. And something that really inspires us by joining this event tonight is to put focus on the restaurants and the role that food plays in our community here in LA. As some of you might have noticed, we are not a physical restaurant, but we are a plant-based meal kit company that provides you with high quality food. We try to do food which is as good for us as it is for the planet by developing super tasty, organic, plant-based meals created by our talented chefs and delivered to your door every Sunday. Tonight you will have a taste of what we do in Simple Feast, and for that we have created a roasted shawarma spiced tofu wrap. It's going to be served with a beet hummus. We have a dill cream and some cumin pickled carrots, and as well a crispy cucumber tomato salad. There will be a few steps of preparation in this to keep everything as fresh as possible, but we have provided you with a brochure where you can follow every single step. You can eat it tonight, you can also save it tomorrow, but either way, Simple Feast wants to turn your home into the best restaurant in town. Again, I'm super pleased to be here, and I hope that you will enjoy Simple Feast. Thanks.
Next up, we have Mindy Weiss, a notable event planner in Los Angeles. She's going to be taking us through a mini tutorial of how to elevate our home dining style in entertaining.
Thanks, Hailey, for the introductions. I'm really excited to be part of the Best New Restaurants event. Entertaining at home has really changed in the last year, I think because we've been home so much. But don't let that deter you. Pick one special day a week to really make it special for you and your family. What I like to do is start with a real neutral palette, creams and whites. And then from there, based on kind of the theme of the dinner, what kind of food, Italian, Chinese, whatever you are going to serve that night, is add the color. I add color through flowers, through colored candles now, that is very much on trend, and even colored glasses. That way I always have a neutral palette to work with and just add the details. I am a person of color, as you can see here. And don't be afraid to add unusual items to your table. And you know what else I found that is really fun? Don't always serve the meal at the same table or the same room. Why not set something up in your living room or in your family room, or a romantic dinner in your bedroom? Try to step out of the box to keep it interesting. I think in the last year, people have finally opened up their wedding gifts or their hostess gifts and have used the items that have been inside. Dishes that have never been unwrapped. Glasses that everybody was, oh, it's gonna break in the washing machine or the dishwasher. Just start using your items. What are you waiting for? And always, always try to bring everybody together and share how lucky you are to be together, entertaining, and breaking bread together.
Wow, those are such great tips. Thank you, Mindy. I'm sure we're all starting to get a little bit hungry. I know I am. So let's go to Joe Laraja, the general manager of Found Oyster in East Hollywood. He's going to teach us how to shuck some clams and cook up the clam kit.
Hello! Thanks for the intro, Hailey. And welcome to the Found Oyster portion. Super excited to be named a Best New Restaurant by LA Magazine and be a part of it with all those other great restaurants. My name is Joe, and I'm going to be taking you through our steamed clam kit. So first thing you want to do is get some oil in a pot and get it going. Put it on medium-high heat, and you want to start smoking before you go from there, right? As we get this going, I started it a little earlier off camera. So we got it up, nice and smoking now. Take a minute, right? We have our aromatics, shallot, garlic, red pepper flake, pinch of salt, thyme. Boom. All right, get this around just to release it, fragrance and such. Moving that around, then we're going to take our little neck clams, dump those in, get them drunk with a little white wine, cover. Turn it up to high. 3 or 4 minutes, or until they open. So the clams we use come from Coyote Bay in Maine. They're really cool because they are hand dug, all of them, in intertidal zones, which just basically means intertidal zone is the area of the bay floor that's left when the tide recedes. And hand dug is quite obvious, but it basically just means that they aren't from a boat going way out in the ocean, dredging and scraping the whole ocean floor, which leaves a kind of terrible habitat for the ecosystem. These are all from individual licenses, so it could be anyone who has a clamming digging license in that area. It could be me or you if we live there, going digging up clams and selling to a wholesaler. And they're really delicious. So it's a little neck, it's a hard shell clam. It is super briny and sweet and delicious. I thought I'd chuck one for you too, because it's actually one of my favorite things raw, even more than oysters. Hopefully the clams are doing well. I'm going to trust the process and leave them on there for another minute or so. So to shuck a clam, you have a knife super sharp on one side because you want to cut into the middle of the shell right there. So I am going to cut into the middle and then kind of use leverage, prop it up a little. Kind of take away from the adductor muscles. And there you go. Delicious. Clams are great because they have a lot of texture. A little more chewy. I really prefer them raw over oysters, but they're excellent cooked as well in this way. So we're almost there. We want to keep that going. In terms of eating them, you can have them just by themselves. Delicious. You can put them on pasta. You could order a side of French fries at Found Oyster when you pick them up. Have that together. Maybe just a bunch of bread to dip in there. Bob and Grandma's would be our choice, our favorite. Whichever it is, it's gonna be delicious. So I've been cooking for a few minutes. They've all opened up. We're all good to go. Turn that off there. Clean them. Cool thing about eating shellfish and shellfish in general is when you think about where these clams came from, they were harvested. They didn't need any electricity to grow. They didn't need any extra water. They didn't need any food. They just live off of what the ocean gives them, organic matter that's in there. So if you want to talk about harvesting and eating super sustainably, that's your thing. Enjoy. Hopefully also comes with directions. So if I wasn't good, you can read along and figure it out as well.
Ooh, those clams look amazing. I cannot wait to dig in. But first, we're going to go to chef owner Jackson Kalb of Ospi in Venice, who's going to help us assemble the spicy rigatoni al vodka in the pasta kit. This is one of my favorite dishes of the year. It's amazing.
Thank you for the intro, Hailey. We are so excited to be part of the Best New Restaurants. Can't even tell you how much it means to us. So we have a pasta kit for you guys, one of our favorite dishes, spicy rigatoni al vodka. I'm not gonna lie, our inspiration for this dish comes from trying to do something better than John and Vinny's. I think we've nailed it, I don't know. You can be the judge of that. So the only thing you'll need other than what we have is salted boiling water. So go ahead and grab your rigatoni, which we have made in-house. We make in-house every day with semolina, durum semolina and water. You dump that in. If you guys have a strainer basket, highly recommend it. I don't have one, so I am going to have to improvise here. So go ahead and grab your sauce. With the saucier, this will be enough for 2 portions. Pretty much made it really easy on you guys. You're gonna wanna grab your chili flakes, a couple pats of butter, however much you want. And last but not least, grab your tweezers and go one by one with the basil. I'm just kidding. Just grab a pinch of basil, guys, okay? Not doing fussy food here. So it'll look something like that by the time you're done. Turn that on the heat. Grab a little bit of your pasta water. And we're just gonna let that reduce. So yeah, when we made this dish, we were actually making it at J. Menoteca for Ospi. And when we were making it, we found out that it was so good that we had to use it at both restaurants, interestingly enough, so we kept it there. So it's really an Ospi dish, but we served at Jame. And if you haven't been to Jame, guys, I know that's not what we're celebrating today, but highly recommend you go. That's where we cut our teeth, so to speak, as restaurant owners. Just go ahead and let this reduce. It'll take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, depending on your stove. And I like to caramelize the vodka sauce a little bit, just a little bit in the pan. It does take some time to do that. Yeah, and you're just gonna wanna kinda keep it going. It can really be any temperature you want. If you wanna go high heat, that's fine. If you wanna go medium low, that's all right. With regards to our noodles, we were doing Southern Italian inspiration for Ospi, so everything is made with semolina flour and water only. A lot of our dishes at Jame are made with eggs and soft flour, tipo 00, or type 00 as they call it. So once you start getting some sizzling going on, you can see here, if I can show you guys, just a little bit of caramelization right on the edge there. That's what we love to see. Let that reduce a little tiny bit here. You guys can honestly let it go as much as you want. I prefer kind of a saucier sauce in this case because it's more inspired by Italian American food as opposed to authentic Italian. With authentic Italian, you want kind of a condimenti or just a touch of sauce. I don't know, people think this stuff is really delicious, so maybe add a little bit extra on there. With the sauciness level, consistency rather. So the pasta really is quick. By the time you guys get it, it should be between 12 hours and a day old, but that's it. Careful with your sauce, it might bubble a little bit. Again, if you're smart, in this case I am not, you're gonna want a strainer basket. I just have a spoon, so I'm gonna have to do this by hand. I'm just gonna go ahead and take half there just so I can show you guys. There are 2 perfectly sized portions for you guys. At least to taste. I'll give you a little bit more in the restaurant, but I'm just gonna go ahead and let that reduce with half just so I can show you guys. Last but not least, we do have some Parmigiano for you guys. You can, if you'd like, taste the sauce at this point. Obviously, if you're going to taste it and use the same spoon, do it with someone who has been with you during the shutdown. We do have Parmigiano. If you'd like, you can use all of it. If you'd like, you can use half, but please add only half in while you're cooking it. And save the rest for the top. So to plate it up again, if you want, you can take out your tweezers. I don't recommend it. We just have a spoon here. Again, I'm just going to show you guys how to plate it because I don't have a basket strainer. So that's it. A little bit of cheese on top. And as I said, a little bit saucy. You know, you don't want to drown it in sauce, but a little bit more than, say, we would do for like a ragu. There you have it. Hope you guys enjoy. And feel free to come pick it up or dine with us at either of our restaurants. If it is better than John and Vinny's, please feel free to let them know on my behalf. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Chef Jackson. While everyone enjoys their steamed clams and pasta, let's visit Mírame in Beverly Hills. It's an absolutely beautiful restaurant, and we're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at how they make their seafood pozole verde.
So I'm Matt Egan and
Joshua Gill.
and together we own Mírame in Beverly Hills.
Last year, Matt and I, when we decided that we were going to open a Mexican restaurant, we took a trip to Mexico to really dive into the true Mexican dining experience. Came back and we're really inspired of how we wanted, to showcase that experience as well as create it for the LA palate. And, we're in the middle of Beverly Hills, so.
We named the restaurant Mírame, which literally means look at me, which is also very appropriate for Beverly Hills. But it's us saying, yeah, here we are, we're gonna do our thing in the middle of the city. And the community, has really embraced us. The city of Beverly Hills has been amazing. All of the restaurants on Cannon have been fantastic, and we've all kind of banded together to get through, this crazy time.
Many different people you should do this and you should really cater to, people aren't dining out like that anymore. And I was like, no, we're gonna do what we do and we're gonna keep it, cohesive to what experience we're trying to give here in Mírame. So we just kept true to ourselves and allow that, to be our expression.
What we've found is that, people, at least in Southern California, have certain expectations about what Mexican cuisine actually is. And when they come into our restaurant, we kind of take those expectations and turn them on their head. We are not traditional. We're very much contemporary, and Chef Gill draws on influences from all over the world.
What we're gonna prepare today is our seafood pozole verde that we have at the restaurant. So we have a little pozole broth, right? Made with a little fish stock. And then we take some shrimp meatballs and we just heat those up in there with the broth. So that's heating up. Right when it gets nearly ready, what we have here is olive oil poached moonfish belly. But what we're doing is we're taking inspiration from two different Mexican states. So in Guerrero, they actually make a green pozole, and in Sinaloa, they make shrimp meatballs. So we're taking those two ideas, putting them together. Except our shrimp meatballs are a little bit different. They have kind of a Laotian flavor profile. This is our nixtamalized corn that we use to make our tortillas. We take a red conico and a blue conico corn varietals, and then we cook those together, and then that's what we make our tortillas out of. Get those heated up. And now we can add our opa. It'll take like 1 minute. Pozole is classically garnished with cabbage. So in lieu of cabbage, we're using Brussels sprout leaves that have been compressed in a vacuum bag with a little bit of olive oil and a bit of little lime juice. Watermelon radish, shaved red onion, a little bit of cilantro, a little bit more lime, a little salt, give that a little mix. Whew. Rearrange the poached fish, a little bit of the corn, the hominy, sprinkle that around like that, just pour the rest. And then in the restaurant at the table, we pour the broth tableside. And that is Mírame's seafood green pozole, or pozole verde.
It took us quite a while to have and build a team around this restaurant that really got what we were doing and that we believed in and believed in us. I think staffing is the most important thing when it comes to having a restaurant that operates successfully. We unfortunately did have to furlough a large number of our staff during that recent shutdown, but thankfully, as of last week, we were able to bring people back on, and I'd say 99% of our staff came back, which is amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of our vendors weren't getting certain ingredients either, because the thing is, all of us that are in the restaurant industry, not just the restaurants themselves, we're all of this, we're all a part of this, all the farmers, all the fishmongers, all the ranchers, everyone is a part of this. So it's when it affects one of us, it affects the whole industry, across the board. So it is very much a sign of relief that we are all reopened and that we're all able to provide jobs for, number one, for those that we care about it, but then also, getting back in the product, getting, the whole, industry moving again.
One of the things that we've tried to do with this restaurant is to, bring some education of, whether it's through our spirit program, our cocktail program, our wine program. We're working with all smaller, almost artisans and producers and farmers, and we're trying to support them. We like to know the people we're working with, so I think it's bringing an education to a city that has been very receptive to what we're doing.
And it tells a story, and that's what we're here to do, to tell a story from the product, the producers that we work with, be it the farmers or the ranchers or the fishermen, care deeply about every process along the way, so that when we receive that product, we give the same amount of love and attention to that, so that the overall, experience that is had here at Mírame is one that has been seriously curated from the seed to the end.
That's such a beautiful dish and a beautiful restaurant. We're so lucky to have them as part of tonight's program. And now for the final portion, I'm thrilled to introduce Jonathan Strader and Jack Leahy from Little Coyote, Leanne Ta from All Day Baby, and Wes Avila from Egret Dinette. I'm thrilled to move on to the last portion of tonight's programming. We've got several representatives from several of our best new restaurants here for a short Q&A. We have Jonathan Strader and Jack Leahy from Little Coyote, Lynn Ta from All Day Baby, and Wes Avila from Egret Dinette. If you guys could each introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the restaurant and what you do there, that would be great.
My name is Jonathan Strader, and this is
Jack Leahy, and we have Little Coyote, old school New York style pizza joint down in Long Beach.
Open Father's Day of 2020, right in the height of all the restrictions. We came up with a model that would survive during the shutdowns and the implications of COVID-19. And it was something we joked about before we actually pulled the trigger when we found something that was perfect for what we needed for the moment, because our careers were kind of put on halt at the various restaurants that we represented and owned during that period of time. So,
what other restaurants are you guys involved with?
I was the owner operator at Master Hall for the past 5 years, and Jack was the chef de cuisine there, and he was at.
I was also the executive chef over at Hailey Oyster.
Oh, great. Was there any significance of opening on Father's Day?
No, it just kind of worked.
Just kind of happened that way.
We named it after my son, and we got some dad hats for our merch gear, and everything kind of just fell into place. All the stars aligned for what we needed to create for the time to be able to support for ourselves and for our family. So
awesome. That's a great, delicious pizza. Lynn, tell us about All Day Baby.
I am the co-owner of All Day Baby with my chef partner, Jonathan Whitener. We opened All Day Baby Thanksgiving weekend of 2019. The hope was that it was supposed to be an all-day affair, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We did accomplish dinner 10 times before the shutdown in mid-March. And then we reopened after furloughing everyone just intermittently as a pandemic pop-up biscuit window, eventually receiving the PPP loan, and we've been open for takeout, breakfast and lunch only since the end of May. We also used to own a restaurant called Here's Looking at You that we decided to close in mid-July, but it was open for 4 years.
That's a great place. And Wes?
My name is Wes Avila, the chef owner of Egret Dinette. I opened right in the middle of the cluster storm of everything going on. I opened October 26th. So it's a brand new little spot. We've been open for about a little bit more than 3 months. And basically after I left GT, I was getting really bored because all I was doing was Zoom calls with my spot in Japan. And I needed to cook. And I told Tanya, my wife, I was like, if I find a spot that has a patio, has a window, and is reasonable, I want to jump on it because I'm freaking bored out of my mind. And sure enough, the next day I got a call from Yikai, the owner of Cognoscenti Coffee. And he's like, hey, I'm a partner at the spot that's closing. Do you want to take over the lease? I was like, yeah, let's take a look at it. Took a look at it. And I was like, holy shit, yeah. I'm going to jump on it. So we jumped on it and just was doing it for 3 months. And then the landlords here are awesome. And we've been doing okay. We're like super skeleton crew. It's me, my wife, 2 cooks, and one front of the house that we kind of float. It's usually 3 to 4 of us here. And yeah, I mean, we're hanging on, we're getting over that hump of that January lull and trying to do the best food we could and just having fun. No rules over here.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about this. Tell us a little bit about your space and, what was it like finding it and kind of seeing it?
Well, the space itself is located in Mandarin Plaza. And if you're familiar with Chinatown and Mandarin Plaza, Andy Ricker was here at Pok Pok. He would have been right across the way, and it's now closed. I think it was Bamboo Lounge by the Mountain Bar or something. They closed. And then so we're right next door to Steep. It's a beautiful patio, awesome courtyard, very like 60s to 80s vibe, like when you walk in. So it's very, very quiet when we first came in. But on my side where my restaurant's at, there's a natural canopy of all these old Mission grapes. So it's very interesting right here. And there's plenty of seating out here. There's plenty of outdoor like space. So all the tables are 8 feet apart without even trying. Like there's not even we don't need to put barriers up because they're so far apart. Awesome. And there's a takeout window because it was a Chinese restaurant 2 times before I took it over. It was a really popular, I think it was called Mandarin Chateau. Okay. And then it turned into something else, and then it turned into something else, and then it turned into Lately, and then we took it over as Angry Egret after about 2 months after Lately closed. So yeah, and it's a takeout window, got a cool little kitchen, and right now we're redoing the bathrooms in case when we open up again, but we started doing outdoor dining. So you basically order your food at the window, pick it up at the window, you seat yourself, and I mean, it's pretty laid back. Yeah,
awesome.
It's a great little spot.
How did you come up with the name for it?
Well, me and my wife came up with the name. We were riding our bikes a lot during the first shutdown, and always up and down the Alley River. The egrets are pretty indigenous here, and it's always kind of been a funny bird to me and me and Tanya, because it just like whenever we see like egret, or we see like a rooster, like there's a rooster. So we saw an egret one time like eating a fish kind of angrily, and we're like, dude, that's a great name. It's like Angry Egret Dinette. So that's how we came up with the name. There's no sweetheart story. It's just like we saw some birds, Alley River. It's pretty, it's local. Like I just find animals that are local to Los Angeles really interesting. Like P22, the mountain lion, kind of the same idea.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for introducing yourself. You all serve different kind of variations of comfort food. How much of that was by design, given the times we're in, versus just the food we're going to be eating no matter what's happening in the world?
I think for us that was like 100% by design.
Right.
I mean, before the pandemic kind of started happening, we're already aware of the state of the restaurant industry. That could mean a lot of things, obviously. The times are changing for restaurants. People's tastes are changing. People want to, I think right now with the pandemic, people want to identify with something and like have an experience still. And the best way that they can do that now is by finding something that is nostalgic or comfortable or like kind of reminds them of something or somewhere or memories that they've had before. So like, yeah, with our food and with, it seems like everybody else on the panel too, there's like this sense of comfort that I think everybody's looking for right now, especially because we're all alone.
Totally.
Mine was created pre-pandemic, so it was not by design, but luckily, I suppose it does work and feed people emotionally and sustenance-ly. This is just food that Chef Jonathan and I love eating. Our first restaurant was a little nicer, a little more eclectic. This restaurant is so much about the influence of me growing up in the South. He used to spend his summers in the South. It also has like a Mexican beach diner feel as well. We have a lot of burritos. That happened during the pandemic. Right. I don't think we had burritos before. But yeah, I love eating like this. I mean, I was accused of eating too much fried food yesterday, but this is definitely my normal diet. I mean, I cannot eat our lovely biscuits every day, but I do eat my my LT's hot catfish sandwich often.
Nice.
So. For me at my shop, it's just, I kind of been doing the same food for the last 9 years, 10 years almost. And even the new spot in Japan, it's Mexican and tacos and small bites like that. So when I wanted to do this spot, I wanted to do something a little different because I mean, it wasn't always Mexican food that I did kind of coming up when I was a cook.
Right.
But I really wanted to do like just something different. I was like, well, fuck it, I'll do some sandwiches, do like kind of torta feel. And so now we're doing that. And then it changes. Like we'll do small bites, we'll do soups, we'll do local squid. Like right now we have the local squid. We're doing like fried chicken today. Yeah, it just changes all the time. It's whatever I want to do. It's like there's no like, cause there is no like structure at all. Like it's whatever I want to do. It frustrates my cooks, but it also keeps them like entertained because it's like, okay, what are we gonna do today? And then we have like a set menu, basically about 4 or 5 items. Everything else is like, we have like 5 different specials. And yeah, it kind of just came through me just almost wanting to comfort myself, but not just going so ego like crazy with all this like intense ingredients as opposed to like more comfort stuff. Because we're a newer restaurant, we have zero help from the government. So it's like nothing. We've tried to apply for PPP because after the 3 months, it was like, okay, we're doing okay, but it's not like we're crushing it like anybody, you know what I mean? We're not like destroying it or anything like that. We're getting by. So I was like, a little help would be good to get through it. And they were like, nah, you need to be open before April or before May. And even after this next one, it's like, you had to be open before July. And it's like, fuck, all right, cool. Well, I guess we'll just keep trying to do it by ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's why we adapt and, like talk about pivot. It's like, we just change it up whenever the fuck I want. And whenever it feels like it should be changed. So that's how we're doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, a little bit more along those lines. I know when you were already open, while Little Coyote and Egret opened after the pandemic, but what would you guys, all say have been some of the biggest challenges operating right now? What would you say have been some of the hardest things you've faced, and what are some of the ways you've confronted those challenges?
I'll take it. The hardest things that we found in the beginning and to right now is the consistency of deliveries, from trash pickup to purveyors to anything that's on back order for paper products. It's just everything's kind of been a contingency plan after contingency plan. So like the normal day-to-day operations of a restaurant, relying on certain people to show up, it just doesn't happen. Same thing goes for employees. I think mental health is something that is super like a big topic right now, even for the employees that we have. Everyone's dealing with their own mental and physical issues of what this thing's kind of dealt with. So, you know, as a restaurant operator, you are kind of a mentor and a leader for everyone and are there for guidance for all your employees. And that hasn't changed. I think that's gone up a little bit more, and we've had to kind of nurture a staff a little bit more delicate than we would in the past. So that's not a learning experience. You just kind of learn as you go on what feels normal, what feels right. You can read through all the protocols of the COVID-19 things from all the governmental agencies, but that will just make your head beat against the wall. You got to kind of feel what's right for the place and time for that hour, that minute, that day, that week, that quarter. Because like, you know, Wes was saying, it's like we opened, it's like we haven't had any help from anyone. Can't wait for the government to bail you out for any of these things. You just kind of got to figure it out on your own and kind of take a few on the chin and figure out better ways to do things for the next week or the next month. And we just keep rolling with the punches. And yeah, we just keep on keeping on. It's like one foot in front of the other. And we're, you know, moving forward on some other projects right now too. And, you know, some days I feel like we're not going to be able to get everything done, but, you know, the list gets shorter and, you know, perseverance is something, and we're figuring out how to get things done. It's not, there's not a roadmap. It's just, you know, we all kind of find together. I've been calling some friends that have been going through the same things, and we're all here for one another as well. So
awesome. Have there been any things, specific things you've done to help with mental health with your employees?
Just offer someone to talk to. You know, I think it's like we only have a few people that we see on a day-to-day level. So having work relationships have become even more stronger during this time because we don't have the social outlets of life. So the people that you're with for 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, I mean, we're here way more than that, but the people that are in our lives have become it's more of an intimate relationship with one another because we don't have that outlet of being able to go out and do the normal activities that we usually do. So it's kind of like your quarantine crew. It's kind of how you kind of get through it.
Right.
We've developed, and it's amazing too, because we've developed this really cool culture of people that are on our team, and the same people of our guests that come up, even for the quick casual pick up for your pizza. We've developed so many really cool relationships with the neighborhood and been able to get this really interesting, eclectic group of neighborhood support that I don't think we would have during a pre-pandemic world. But now we have this like intimacy of guests that come in, and they've really felt like they've been a part of something special, that we've created this pizza concept in the height of a pandemic. They have something really powerful to kind of put their like effort behind, and they feel like they're part of something cool for the community. And it's that like beam of light that we all kind of need right now. So it's really important. Restaurants are always there for the birthdays, the anniversaries, the celebrations, and you know, we still can be that during a pandemic. So
awesome. Lynn, what about you?
Well, for us, we spent 3.5 months really trying to find systems to perfect an in-service model, people sitting at a bar, staff of 65, all of those things. So I would say the biggest change for us has been, I like to always say, turning into a McDonald's. So our weekdays are they're pretty slow and chill. And so those are the days that we're kind of re-upping and doing little condiments. I mean, we have like 18,000 little sauces in tiny little containers and silverware packages and all of that. Weekends, that's when I have utmost respect for fast food restaurants. And anytime I'm at In-N-Out, I am watching what they are doing in the kitchen. So, you know, our restaurant was never set up for this kind of grab and go thing. And even just the idea of the supplies, the disposables and all of that, and all that we're spending on all the glassware that obviously and plateware that we spent to use, we can't use. But little things like if someone orders a cocktail, our bar is way the far out from our register. And so the easiest way to fire that cocktail is to fire it audibly. And, you know, and there's just all this stuff. And, you know, we have to go around a barista station to get to a pickup window. So just developing makeshift systems and a rhythm and movement so that we're obviously still social distancing and really getting out orders all the time. I know I was listening to a peer of mine recently, and their place is a takeout restaurant too. But I love the way that she described how there are certain days, nothing is happening because nobody is ordering, but because everybody has the power to order all at the same time, but everybody expects that their order is going to be done in 12 minutes and everybody's outside. It's a lot to manage, because and then people then assume, you're killing it, you're so busy, there's all these lines outside all day, baby. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a moment in time, guys. We only pay a very small percentage of our rent because that's all we can afford right now. And it's not like premium Silver Link rent just reduced out of nowhere. So I don't really know what we're going to do. We're very lucky. I second what Strader said, this community aspect of it, this percentage of people that are really interested in helping our community. They are why we wake up every day, to be around these bags, but to be around these people outside, really hoping to support us. People come weekly, sometimes twice a week, more, and they're so excited to just kind of grasp onto things that we're only selling right now. I can just put something up on Instagram and I'm like, I have 9 cinnamon rolls and now you're going to buy them before 9:38 or whatever it is. And I like that they're into it. You could get angry, and trust me, we do get angry people because life has not changed. But for the most part, it's extraordinarily beautiful to see this level of response of people wanting to support restaurants right now.
Yeah, that's great. I have the same vibe as that. Like you have, it looks like right now if you come, you're like, wow, there's nobody here. But you come at like right around 12:15 to like 1:30. It's like, fuck, you guys are crushing it. It's like gangbusters. The same thing. It's like, it looks like that, but it's like, yes, that moment in time. There are those anomalies like on a Saturday or a Sunday where it's like, oh fuck, it's pretty good all day. But then you have certain days where it's like, all right, good. I'm glad we're kind of slow because we're so shorthanded. Like it's just me and Brian back there, like, banging out short ribs and doing sauces and doing all this like braising and prep and deep cleaning and trying to do all this other like small things. And for us and for me here, like I'm not paying myself anything. I haven't taken any payment for nothing. So like, and I work more here than I have ever at any restaurant I've ever worked at, owned, anything. And it's fine. And I love it. Because if not, I'd be home bored out of my mind on COVID, just making it by with like, stuff from Japan. But yeah, one of the things that I'm doing here though, is every single, like any profit that we make is going right back into it because it's so skeleton, because I have no investors and it's just my money. Basically, we reinvested everything into like getting a new coffee machine. We got a new Mavam so we're doing espresso drinks, things like that. Next, she's not in the food industry, but she helps me. She's the one who helped me start Gorilla Tacos on the Cart in 2012. And when she left, she went and got her doctorate. So now I'm like, hey, if I give you $500, will you get me do all the paperwork for a liquor license? Because I know everybody hires like these consulting firms and these guys with funny nicknames and stuff. But I'm like, my wife's pretty smart. I think she can figure it out. So I'm gonna give her $500 to figure out getting a beer and wine license. And so that's what we're doing. We're just kind of constantly pivoting, adjusting. And the crew that we have here is the same crew that we started with, other than one guy that moved. He came here and helped us out for like 3 weeks, but knowing he was going to leave, and he went to San Diego, and now he's working for a chef friend of mine over there. So yeah, it's constantly pivoting and readjusting.
Right. So tell me, what is one of your favorite dishes on the menu right now and what goes into it? I'll let the Little Coyote guys start.
Cool. My favorite dish right now is the white pie. I always love a white pie. I love going to every shop in New York and being like, who's got the best white? Who's got rapini on it? Who's got spinach on it? Who has nothing on it? So our version, which was born out of quarantine because I was at home unemployed with no job and maybe high, is like a white bechamel sauce, and then it gets spinach sauteed with garlic and onions, Calabrian chilies, and ricotta cheese, and it's like a little bit of a new take on a white because it's got a little bit of kick to it. It's really, really good. So
delicious.
That's my favorite thing to eat right now.
Do you have a favorite white pie in New York?
That's a really tough question. I would have to say Frankie's.
Frankie's, awesome.
Which is like a straight white pie. There's like nothing on it but cheese. So they burn it a little bit. So I like that. And then the next day you fry an egg and slip it right on top. Oh my goodness.
Beautiful. I'm going to just ask you guys the last question real quick, and then we'll come around to everyone for that question. So Little Coyote, a year or two or now, what do you hope things will be like eating at your restaurants? What elements of dining out do you see coming back? Are there anything, things that you don't think will come back?
The world of what we lived in, from like the fine dining-esque kind of world, I think is going to be forever changed. That's why we were kind of, before the pandemic happened, Jack and I were actually in a mindset to be able to go more into the QSR world, because we feel like it's a little bit more of like a sustainable model of being able to have like just a staff of like being like a career where everybody's tipped out, and not this front of house, back of house thing, more of like the crew member kind of philosophy within the models, kind of like what we've seen out of like the In-N-Outs of the world to, the top dogs in the QSR world. And there's definitely room for growth for that, for restaurant operators like
it's
ourselves.
definitely like a growing area of the industry. Like the high end's going to get more difficult to execute because it's going to get more expensive. So like we have to grow the middle in a place where people want to eat out more often. They want to eat things that are not, they don't want to eat fast food every single day, but they do want to have that experience where they can get in at a price point that doesn't break the bank, of course. So like, how do we, how it's up to us as chefs and as restaurateurs to bring good food for everybody, not just for those who can afford it. So that for us, I think, is changing.
Yeah, and it's like create a brand that people feel aligned with and what they can kind of get behind, they can stand behind. They know the buying principles that you're doing and how all the staff's treated. It's like that transparency of like what we do can go into a different service model. It just doesn't have to be the high end.
And then in regards to the future, I mean, we would love to see the old school pizza parlor of our former youth, like the Shakey's of the 80s and that kind of stuff. Like we would love to have everybody in here and enjoying pizza and pitchers of beer and like doing all the things that we used to love to do, sans masque, if that's even possible. But it's like one day at a time. So like little by little. So we've been really cautious with opening outdoor dining. We're not going to go crazy. We're not trying to like overload the patio, like try to squeeze as many people in as we can, because we just think that's not the right thing to do right now. So we have faith that vaccines are rolling out, people are compliant, like we'll get there. Things will be back. I'm sure of it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And I'll give you a beat. So you guys are wrapped. I feel like I'm ending a movie shoot. But yeah, so that's good for you guys. And then Lynn and Wes, if you can just stick around for a couple more questions, that would be great.
Nice chatting with everybody.
Yeah, nice chatting, and thanks for your patience.
Yeah, thanks for letting us go early.
So yeah, tell me about some of your favorite dishes on the menu right now, what goes into them and what you love about them. I'll let you start.
Sure. I think the item that I probably eat the most at our restaurant is the ADB breakfast burrito. I didn't eat burritos too much in the past, I think because I find the size of them intimidating. Yeah. But what I love about this particular burrito is I find all the components to be really nicely distributed. And it's a bean-based burrito. So it's refried beans. I like that it's fried eggs versus scrambled eggs. So I really enjoy the runny egg aspect of it. There's cheddar, or there's cheese, and then there's also smoked longanisa sausage. So Chef Jonathan dips our sausage and then we smoke it in our smoker there. And I just love all the flavors together. And then we have a side of a salsa roja that I use copious amounts of. And then I think the item that I take home the most is our smoked chicken. At the restaurant, it comes with fries. I also get the wedge salad, and it's just like such a great meal. It's so juicy and so flavorful. And that's something that we also sell just like in the provisions, like you can take it home cold and reheat it at home too.
Awesome. What about you, Wes?
For me right now, it's probably the Tata Ben pastrami. Like growing up here in LA, all the pastrami shops when I was growing up, I grew up on the east side. There wasn't delis. It was all like Golden Ox and Jim's and those kind of Greek-owned fast food grease pit burger places, and they all had a pastrami, and it was all served kind of on a French roll with the thin slice, that mustard and pickles. So we I was like, let's try to make our own with a combination of like, we make our own pastrami here and cut it thicker, like more like that Langers or like a Jewish deli feel, like the thick cut pastrami. So it's on our birote. So it's like birote with whole grain mustard, thick cut pastrami. It's a lot of pastrami too. With some house made pickles, and it's very straightforward. And we serve it with the little banana peppers. That's my jam right now. And because it's
so good.
Because of our space, you
guys are making me hungry.
Yeah, it takes like 5 days. We leave it in the brine for 5 days, and then we cook it overnight. And yeah, that's my favorite thing to eat right now on the menu. It's kind of hard to keep up with it, but we're trying.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, I'm going to pose the same question to you guys. A year or two or now, what do you think and hope it will be like to eat in your restaurants? And what elements of dining in do you think will come back? And are there any things you think that won't ever come back?
It's a really challenging question to think of. I may be in a better position to answer that question. I think last year I was just answering things 2 weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. But I think it would be lovely to return to a place where guests were inside our dining room, more particularly sitting at our bar. I think I miss that a lot. I miss that as just a normal diner. I love sitting at bars and the interaction of my bartenders. I can tell even just my one bartender that I still have on staff, I know he misses interacting with guests, and serving in beautiful glassware and all of that. I would love to see that. But also on the flip side, I think I would miss this takeout life, these goals that I've made where I'm the McDonald's now. So I think what would be great is to have the balance of both, and we just have 6 little outdoor tables that are just self-service. It's really energetic to see people sitting out there and just, again, they're just eating out of to-go bags and things like that and wrappers, but I like having them out there underneath our Campari umbrellas. I think, speaking to what Jonathan was saying about tipping model, I would love to see this current archaic tipping model to go away. I like that I get to share, the little money that we are making, are split evenly right now with our staff. And, I have one line cook in addition to Chef Jonathan, and it's, I would like to see that, but life will change and life will shift. And obviously we're going to need more help, but we just don't know, what the demand will be at that point. But it would be great to take elements of this pandemic and take elements from our past and be able to share communal events again and see families in here again.
And what about you, Wes?
Well, I hope to see it. I don't know how this will change like our restaurant because we started in the middle of the pandemic. So like the place has a window, the place already has a patio. So I hope to just be able to keep serving people. I used to love being able to like talk to people and, kind of touch tables, say hello. So for me, like the only change I would see at the restaurant here is we would have a beer and wine license and be able to serve up and kind of complement stuff and stay open later on the weekends and do that kind of thing. And then as far as things changing, I think it's drastically changed where the hot properties are going to be places that already have patios, places that already have outdoor seating. I mean, this isn't just because COVID is done doesn't mean that this may never happen again, I mean, God forbid that it's like some other thing comes up and it's like, I can only imagine like the fatigue that just like the country has already for it to happen again with like this new strand of something else that came from, another part of the world. So it's a scary thing to think that, but I think outdoor dining is here to stay. I hope that the city keeps regulations like kind of lax as far as like with dining outdoors, and with making it facilitating getting certain licenses and certain things available. I think when it does open up again, though, I think you are going to see that kind of gradual. But once it's like, all right, people can sit down without a mask, it'll probably be like, the roaring 20s, at least for a good amount of time. I think insane. And I hope it doesn't cause like hyperinflation and things like that because people will be spending so much.
Right.
But I do think if you get through this time, if you're a restaurant, if you're a restaurateur and you get through this this period of time that's been horrible and detrimental to most, the rewards and the fruits of our labor will show. So that's what I'm hoping on is, like that we can cook and hire more people and just kind of keep it going.
Great. One other question, just a fun one. What would you, if you guys, on your rare time off away from your restaurants, what is a food from another restaurant in town that you crave?
For me, I think it's probably pho, like pho from across the street. We got Food 87, like literally right across the street, and they do fantastic pho. Like if I want to from another restaurant, it's that. Or if not, it's probably mariscos, like mariscos Jalisco, or something that I just completely don't like cook right now or don't have, because things are on the other side of town. One thing I found out in COVID for myself, it's like you kind of eat the same spots that are near your house, so you don't have to
drive.
Well, for me, you don't have to engage with too many people, because some people just don't give a shit and don't care if they're not wearing a mask, even like right near you in an elevator. So I try to do that as little as possible, because I don't want to put my staff in danger, my family in danger that I do live with. It's me and my wife, and like here at the shop, there's 4 of us. So I try to limit that as much as possible. But yeah, for me, it's Mariscos Jalisco and Food 87 across the street.
Awesome.
I have so many because I'm no chef and I don't cook. I find myself, I crave seafood, and like fresh oysters and fish and things like that. So I'll take time to go and visit Connie and Ted's, and when they have their outdoor patio, it's very safe. It's like huge as far as like spatially distanced tables in their parking lot. And let's see, I love the lasagna verde at Angelini Osteria. I think it's so good. I love this lovely woman that runs Mariscos Alfaro, a truck in Highland Park. I love getting her crab tostada. I mean, I could go on. Everybody knows I eat burgers, so I don't need to talk about that.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for your time. It's been great chatting, and good luck with everything. And everyone go and eat at these wonderful restaurants, All Day Baby, Angry Egret Dinette, and Little Coyote. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes tonight's programming for our Best New Restaurants event. Thank you so much for being a part of it, and I hope as everything continues to open up, you'll visit all of these amazing establishments and try their food. Thank you again to all of the participants for their delicious tastings in the kits. That's All Day Baby, Angry Egret Dinette, Found Oyster, Hank's Bagels, Mírame, Ospi, Pearl River Deli, Sogo Roll Bar, and Tamales Elena y Anteojitos. And thank you so much to our sponsors and partners, Quicker, El Tesoro, Bruxo, House of Suntory, Simple Feast, Flying Embers, and Bache Bal Wine. Good night, everyone.